Hey guys, welcome to the video number 480. My name is Ajay Parmar and you're watching youtube.com/c/Ajay Kumar Parmar, and this is my channel name and we are on the video number 480. Thank you so much for your support. And if you have landed up for the first time on this channel actually basically deals with the four subjects: Access, Access VBA, MS Excel and Excel VBA, and very soon we are going to start the web designing as well. So welcome to the channel, and I want to give you one information before I talk about the today's topic. The video which I'm going to upload today, the same version of this video but in Indian language, which is Hindi, is also uploaded and in the form in the video number 479. So if you have any problems in understanding English, you can go and watch this video, right? So, and the playlist name is Access VBA Queries. Now what we are supposed to do in this video today, guys, we are supposed to work on the Access VBA and we are going to use the append query in the VBA. So basically today's topic is how to run the append queries 100 times. Can you believe that 100 times we are supposed to run the query? And I'm not saying this, trust me, because I never imagined that somebody could actually go and run the any query 100 times, right? That's crazy. But I got this actually this question from one of my my personal trainings, and one of my students actually, he wanted to do this and there was some project he was working with and it was required. So I liked the idea. I really thought that I could go and talk about this. Right now, if you are new to the Access, you can still watch this video, but you may not be able to understand the 100% content, to be very honest with you, because Access, I mean, this video is not the beginner, it is not for the beginners. You got to have a good understanding of the at least append query, right? But no worries, guys. As you know, we have created the playlist for everything, so you can go in the Access front end playlist and you can watch the Access queries. When you click on the Access queries, you get to see the the Access queries there. So there are queries there: select query, append query, and all the other queries, and you can go and watch that, right? So what we are going to do in this video is, and by the way, let me show you, these are all the playlists which are in front of you. You can see that. So these are all the playlists. Like this is the Excel VBA, and so when you click, if I just change the look of this is going to show up as Excel VBA connecting Outlook with Excel. So these are all the basically the playlists, the different playlists. Right now, because of my view settings, I am not able to show you everything, but look at this Excel VLOOKUP and match. So this is one of the playlists, and in this playlist we have got 21 videos, right? So these are all the 21 videos, right? Any title which says Excel in Hindi, Access in Hindi, that means that is in the Hindi language, right? So let's go and talk about today's topic. So this is, I'm going to first of all brief you about what we are going to do. This is one table and this is second table, right? Now if I just go in this table, and let me just first of all delete the entire content. So let's say, because I just uploaded the video in Hindi, and that's why this the data is there. So this is your table, guys, where you have 3 employee IDs, let's say, and this is the another table where you have another 4 employee IDs. Of course we have the name and the last name. Now what we want to do is, we want to basically insert these 4 records in this table. Now if it is a matter of one-time activity, I can make the append query, I can run it, right? But I have to run this 100 times. That is the issue. Okay, so I'll explain you what we are supposed to do. Now when you go and create the append query, you go to the query and you go to the query design. Now you select the table which you want to actually append. So I select this and I say that close. Now this employee ID and first name and last name, I drag it here. I'm just double clicking here, and then you go to the append because you want to append the data, and you select the table which is table 1 and you press OK, right? The moment you press OK, you see here append to. Now this append to employee ID, first name, last name, these are the headers which belongs to table 1, right? Table 1. So if you go to the table 1, this is what you see. This is employee ID, this is first name, this is last name. So here we want to append this data. Which data? These are the employee IDs. This employee ID is coming from copy of table 1, and this first name is coming from copy of table 1, and it is appending in the first name of which table? this table. That's how basically this append query works. And because this is the current database, by default you have always this option on. So this is going to be the current database. We are not going to click here on the another database because we don't want this append query to append the data in any other access table, right? So once this is done, I'm going to check, is it working? I click, you're about to append the 4 rows. I click yes. Now that this is done, let me go and double click here. Now you can see that we have actually got the table here. We have got all these records inserted here, right? Now the thing is, now the point is, I save this query, and I save this query by the name of, let's say, insert data, and I press OK. Now when I press OK, this is my append query. Now you know that this is working, right? Now before I come back to this, I want to go back to, you know, this the question which this discussion which I have prepared for you. So first of all, what is the task to do? Well, our task is to, we want to insert the query, the append query 100 times. We want to insert these records. I just showed you that how we did it one time, but that same step we have to do 100 times, right? Now before you do anything, I mean, you sort of do or start working on this project, the questions we must ask ourselves. So I think this is a very familiar question which you would definitely go and think, that why to make the append query and not any other query? The reason is very simple, because in Access, you know guys, you have select query, you have cross tab query, you have delete query, drop query. There are so many other queries, parameter query. Why append query? Well, it's very you know, but obvious, because if you know Access, if you know the basics of the Access, and you must be knowing the Access queries, well, append is the query which actually used to insert the data, right, from one table to the another table. So that is why my choice is append query. In fact, I don't have any other choice, right? I'm not sure. I mean, I can't say this with 100% confidence, but I think append is the best choice. That's what I can say, right? So maybe you have a different, you know, you can, if you have a different solution, if you think that there is another way also, that I would love to hear from you. You can give your comments. But I think append query is a very simple, plain simple query which comes, you know, very first into my mind, because it is actually the insert query. Now the next question comes, what is the need of the VBA then? Why can't we simply run the macro, you know, the append query? Well guys, the point is, of course you can run it, there is no harm. I mean, if you have enough time, and if you want to dedicate your entire day in running this, or maybe 20-30% of your shift time in running only this query, then please go ahead and run this, right? Because every time I have to run this, isn't it? You're about to run an append query, so you want to append the query. I append this query, again I go and append this query, again you run it. So every time I have to run this, no doubt the data is going to be copied, as you can see here. But guys, who is going to run this 100 times, right? So this is something I really need to work on it, and that is why I'm going to use the VBA, because in the VBA I can run the loop. I can say that Access, you're supposed to run this 100 times, and the same code, the same query is going to run 100 times, and in the meantime, you know, you can take a break, you can grab a cup of coffee, and in the meantime the work is going to be done, right? So I think that's how we work in the automation, isn't it? Now I wanted to tell you one thing, because I also found one thing. So what happened, if in this table, in the design view, if I just create this as a primary key, sometime it happens when you make the rules, you know, you try to do that. Now guys, primary key, what do you mean by the primary key? Primary key means that number, that value, that header is not going to be repeated again. Now if I have given this employee ID as a primary key, that means I cannot use the same employee ID again. If I just do this save changes, now look at this, your table 1. Your table 1 is 100 and 200 and 300. I run this query. You're about to run the append query. I click yes. Okay, you're about to append 4 rows. I press yes. Let me refresh it. You see that the data is coming, very nice, right? Now the next time when I'm going to run, you see what's going to happen. You're about to run an append query, yes, and then you're about to append 4 rows. Well, again 4 rows we are going to append. Well, yes, okay, there we go. Microsoft Access can't append all the records in the append query. Look at this, read the error. It didn't add 4 records to the table due to key violation. Now what is happening here? Now this is the error, you know, as a beginner it irritates you a lot, because you don't know what it's saying. And trust me, when I was learning the Access a long time back, these errors, they just made my life hell. simply because I was not able to understand these errors. I think in Excel you still, you see the errors, you can, kind of make the, the idea, right, that this must be the reason. But in Access, I think the errors are significant. They're very, I don't know I mean, whether the Microsoft should rework on it, or it's like our understanding, which is because of which, we are not able to understand it. But still, I mean, it's a long error, if you start reading it. Basically it says that it didn't add 4 records due to key violation. What is a key violation? I'll tell you the key violation. But if you see that, do you want to run the action query anyway to ignore the errors? Run the query? Yes. No, I don't want to run it, because then the entire query will not be able to, this query will not be able to insert the entire data, or maybe it will not run anything. So I just simply say no. Now what is a key violation? Now key violation is, if you run this query, insert data, again these 4 records are trying to, get imported in this table. But you have already decided that your employee ID is going to be a primary key. So if it is a primary key, how can you repeat that data again? How can you use the same employee ID? So first you got to remove that. All right, you remove this. If you have a situation where the employee IDs are never going to be, whenever you run this query, every time you have this copy of table 1, let's say this uses a new data, then okay, then you can use the primary key as well. Well, it all depends, but right now, because I want to insert this the same query, the records from this, the same query again and again, I'm not going to make it primary key. Of course, I'll just go and save it. Right now, guys, again, if I just run it, you see this is going to run every time, right? So this is running, and again if I run this, this is again going to run. But the point is, I don't have this much of time that I can go and run this 100 times. So there we actually, going to use the code. Now we go and write the program in the Visual Basic window, and here I'm going to write a program append 100 times. Let's say this is my macro name. I start this macro. Now what we are supposed to do here? So I have already written the steps for you. Now these are the 3 steps. So majorly I divided this entire project into 3 sections. What is the first is make append query and test it, right? I already ran the query, I made the query and ran it in front of you, and you saw that the query is working. Now I just go and copy it SQL view. After testing it, we already tested it, so we are just going to find its SQL view, and we are going to use that in the VBA. And then you can link that with the button, with the form button, which I will not talk here in this, because creating a button in the form is very easy, and that's not actually, we are not here to talk about the forms, right? You can go and check my Access via VBA forms or Access forms, Access form dashboard. This is the playlist you can check. You will understand that how basically we can we link the macros or all sort of other things in the forms, in the buttons, when we create the buttons in the form. So now let's go and talk about this. So the first thing which I'm going to do, guys, that I'm going to go in its design view, because the query is working. Click on the view and go to its SQL view. This is your SQL view, right? SQL view. Now many people, when they call me for the my personal online trainings, I hear that they say that they want to learn SQL. Now guys, understand, SQL is a language. It is not a database. You have to be very specific in telling people that what you want to learn, or even when you do the discussion. For example, this Access is a database. Now it is not only the one database. You have so many databases in the market. Microsoft has SQL Server. That's a really big database with a lot of functionalities. It can hold billions of the data, right? So SQL Server is a database. There also you can use the SQL. You use in fact the SQL there. Then we talk about Oracle. We talk about MySQL. I think DB Lite, this is also a database, right? There are a number of databases. Foxpo, I think it's outdated, I know, but these are the databases which use SQL language. So when you say you want to learn SQL, you should be knowing that which database you are talking about. Right now we are working, this is SQL syntax, structured query language, SQL, right? We call it SQL also. This is my syntax, and this is my SQL syntax, and I'm using it in the Access. Right now, what is it? Now it says, so append query, whenever you go and use the append query, this is sort of thing you get to see. I'll explain you what it means. Well, it says insert into table 1. Insert into table 1 means that you want to basically insert the data into the table 1, and these are those fields. You remember in the query we did that. What you want to insert, that comes from this line, second line. Select the copy of table 1, this is table name, dot table field, comma, again table name, and then again table field, and this is another table field. So basically we are writing the table 1, table name dot field 1, comma, table name dot field 2, comma, table 1 and table name and field 3. That's how we write from this copy table, right? So I thought, you know, to let me give you this, at least you should be knowing what you are actually copying. But even if you don't understand this SQL view and you know that the front end is working of this, you can just copy this line and we're going to use it here. So I say that dim str as string, I create one variable and I write str equals to control V, and I insert this data here. You don't need the colon part here, right? Now if I click outside, guys, you see the color of this, right? This color is, it's not looking like a regular the VBA syntax, because this line is not right now going to work as a query. If you just go and run this, this will give you the error, syntax error, right? So what we are supposed to do is, now if you do not want to do any changes in this query and you want to keep it like this, because you know this second line is actually a part of my first line, this should go in the single line. So you can backspace it, you can create the space here, you can backspace this line as well. That is also okay, you can do that, right? But sometimes what happens, because this is going to take a lot of your width of this window, so sometimes people prefer working, you know, the way it is written here like this, so that they can read the entire query and they don't have to scroll to the right. But then you have to make sure that for VBA the second line should be, you know, we have to tell VBA that this second line actually is following this first line and it is a part of the same syntax. So in that case, what you need to do is you need to use the underscore, right? And here also you need to use the underscore, right? Now again I press outside this, you get the error. Now why we get the error, guys? Because you have to put this in the double quotes, because this is a string. This is the SQL view. So I'm going to put this within the quotes, and then you use the and, because you have to tell that this, the second line is also joined with this. So that's why, you know, we use the ampersand sign, the end sign. So I use this double quotes, and same way I use the double quote here, and then I use the and then finally we use this from. Okay, that's how we do it. So finally when you click outside, you see that there is no error in the syntax. Now let's talk about the loop. So I'm going to dim I as integer, declare this variable as integer for I equals to 1 to 10 and next I. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to run it 100 times, but I just show you that, you know, how it is going to run 10 times, because then later you can change this to 100 or as per your requirement. Now why, which particular code is going to tell me that which query I want to run? You write here do cmd, which is do cmd do command dot run SQL. So you can use the SQL and then you can write the str. You can also copy and paste this entire query. You don't have to create the variable like str, but I've just created it because I'm more comfortable in this, right? So guys, this query is going to run 10 times, right? Well, for the time being, I just make it 3, for example. Now I'm going to run this. Let us see if we can run this or not. There we go. You see that the query is run, and this query is now, we're going to run it. You can see that if you hover, or you can put the add watch as well. You can see that the moment I run this, alright, so we get the error, the syntax error in query expression copy of table name last name from. If you see that after the last name there has to be some space, last name and from, it's coming, you know, with no space. So that's where the problem is. So I just click on the end, and I think I forgot to click, you know, click here the space. So I just create the space here after this quote, right? Now when I run this, you can see that if I just go and run this, this is my query, and you can also go and put the watch code on this, and you can see how the query looks like, because if the query looks perfect, then the code is going to work. So this is a long query, so I have to, let's expand this, let me increase the width of this. So this is your query, guys, and I think the query looks perfect. Insert into table 1, take care of all the spaces. Right now after the last name I have a space, so this is going to work. This should work, right? So let me come here and let me run this. There we go. You're about to append 4 rows. Again, you're about to append 4 rows. Again, you're about to append 4 rows. So this is how the query actually is working. Now let's go and check the output. So I click on the table 1, guys, and as you can see here, the data is pasted. Fantastic, wonderful. isn't it amazing, right? How beautifully we have actually shortened the duration of our work. Right now, go and enjoy your cup of coffee. In the meantime, Access is going to run this query 100 times or 200 times or whatever you want to do that. But make sure while appending the data, take care of the 2 GB size as well, right? Because after the 2 GB, Access is going to give up, right? So now this is done, and but there is some problem here, which is that whenever I run this query, every time I have to click on that yes. Do you want to append the query? Do you want to insert those 3 records, 4 records, or 30 records, 100 records? Then how are you going to actually have a cup of coffee, right? You cannot go on the break because somebody has to be there who is going to be dedicated to click, on that button. So we have a solution for that. Now what you're going to do is you just write here do cmd dot set warning false, right? So this is not going to give you any warning, and please guys, make sure in the end of this you make it sure that this should be true. Why I'm telling you this, because if you're not going to write this, if you're not going to revert it back to true, then this is going to be false every time. And whenever you run any query, it's not going to give you any prompt. And sometime when you run the delete queries, it's very dangerous, you know that. So in the delete queries, we always prefer that the prompt should come that you are going to delete these many records, right? Do you want to delete that or do you not want to delete that? But if you don't do that, then it's going to delete it. And maybe somebody can come in front of you while doing all this when you're running these things, and you're clicking yes, and it may happen that every time when you run the query and the next time you're going to run, you by mistake click on any delete query. So while talking to that person, or maybe your mind can be distracted. There are so many things happens in the office, right? You are already loaded with a lot of work. You are under pressure. So many things can happen. So that's why this do CMD set warning should be true at the end of the day before this macro, right? Now I'm going to run this, and we're going to run this 10 times. All right, so I just go and run this 10 times, and let's see how it is going to run. So there we go. You see that? Alright, so it actually even ran. It ran in seconds, guys. You can see that, right? And there was no prompt coming. So if I just go and click there, you see that the data is pasted there. I can show you this. Look at this. 10 times the query actually ran, right? So I think even if you run this query 100 times, it's not going to take time. Well, I think because of the reason that I just have few rows. But if you have a huge data, of course, it is going to take time, right? But anyways, that's what I wanted to tell you. So what you have learned is this doCMD is basically a function in Access with the help of which you can do a lot of stuff. For example, we can say that doCMD.open query, open form, open module, and you can run so many things, run command, run data macro. There are so many things, right? We used run SQL, right? So that's it for now, and I'll see you soon with some another exciting stuff. Please subscribe to the channel, do click on the like, and share this channel videos with all those professionals, all those wannabe programmers. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Pleasure to have you. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.